we have the opportunity to make a habit of empathy.
When then Senator Obama voted against now Chief Justice Roberts, he spoke from his desk over there about how a judge needed to have, in his words, empathy to decide the hard cases. He said, and I quote, "That last mile can only be determined on the basis of one's deepest values, one's core concerns, one's broader perspective on how the world works, and the depth and breadth of one's empathy. In those difficult cases, the critical ingredient is supplied by what is in the judge's heart." In another speech, President Obama further elaborated on this empathy standard, quote, "In those 5% of the cases, what you've got to look at is what is in the justice's heart. What's their broader vision of what America should be? We need somebody," he said, "who's got the heart and the empathy to recognize what it is like to be a young teenage mom, the empathy to understand what it's like to be poor and African American or gay or disabled or old. And that's the criteria by which I'll be selecting my judges." Now, he spoke very well there in that quote about the empathy that those of us who are elected ought to have. But I think he spoke incorrectly about what judges should have. And when the president then nominated Judge Sotomayor to the Supreme Court, he did that with the belief that she meets his empathy standard. President Obama's empathy standard has been widely criticized as contrary to the proper role of judges. And that's my point, that because an empathy standard necessarily connotes standards of impartiality. And that is a very radical departure from our American tradition of blind, impartial justice. In fact, even Judge Sotomayor repudiated President Obama's empathy standard at her confirmation hearing. A judge's impartiality is so critical to his or her duty as an officer in an independent judiciary that it is mentioned 3 times in the oath of office for federal judges. Every judge declares, quote, "to administer justice without respect to persons." Another quote, to do equal rights to the poor and to the rich, and to, again quote, "faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all his duties," end of quote. That's from the oath that judges take. Therefore, empathetic judges who choose to embrace their personal biases cannot uphold their sworn oaths. If we're to have a government of laws and not of men and women, then our judges must not favor any party or class over another, whether they be historically privileged or historically disadvantaged. Our judges must decide the cases before them on what the law that this Congress writes and what it requires, even if the law compels a result that is as odd with the judge's personal, deeply held feelings. The fact that we have an independent judiciary means that it is not a political body. In exchange for remaining unchecked by the will of the people, the judicial branch is required to maintain impartiality. This country was founded on the principle that justice is the same for everyone. No one is entitled to special treatment, whether by fate or fortune, because no man or woman is above the law. No matter what you call it, empathy, compassion, personal bias, or favoritism, it can have no place in the decision-making process of a judge. It can have a place in decision-making by a United States senator, but especially in the case of the judicial branch, not by the Supreme Court or a Supreme Court justice. While justice is not an automated or mechanical process, it also isn't a process that permits a patchwork of cases where the outcome is determined not by the law, but by the judge's personal predilections. Judges may differ on what the law is, but they should never reach a conclusion because of a difference in ideology or because their empathy for one of the parties. Their empathy, an empathy standard for judging would betray the very causes of equality that it purports to champion by creating classes among other citizens in the eyes of the law. That's what is so dangerous about President Obama's standard and why we should be cautious in deferring to his choices for the judicial branch. That's why we should continue to assess judicial nominees based on their fidelity to the rule of law and not on some well-intentioned hope or belief that the personal biases that they will rely on in judging will be the right ones. Unfortunately, Judge Sotomayor's speeches and writings over the years reveal a judicial philosophy that highlights the importance of personal preferences and beliefs in her judicial method. Her speeches and writing reveal her views of a judge and judicial decision-making process that is quite contrary to what our American tradition demands of the judiciary and our system of justice. Cite a few troubling statements that she's made. She questioned, quote, whether achieving the goal of impartiality is possible at all in even most cases, and also, quote, whether by ignoring our differences as men and women and people of color, we do a disservice to both the law and the society. She promoted identity politics, where she openly admitted, quote, my experiences will affect the facts I choose to see, and that I will willingly accept that judges must not deny the differences resulting from experience and heritage, end quote.